Hey guys, welcome to Brian's Man Cave. So today's kind of a 2-for video, as I'm kind of doing a response to the Atari Creeps video and kind of flipping the question back at you guys. And so the Atari Creep did a video where he talked about, does size matter in video games? I mean, in video game collections. I should throw that one out there. Really what he was getting at was apparently somebody made a comment, I guess on another YouTuber's channel, stating that he didn't have enough games in maybe in his background or in his collection, that doesn't, because of that, this person is not warranted in talking about video games or doing a channel about video games or even have any kind of knowledge whatsoever about video games. And this kind of ticked him off. He was kind of thinking, what does that have to do with anything? I mean, sure, having a lot of games could mean that you played every one of them, you're experienced in every one of them, you know everything about it. But I doubt that's the case in most people's, game rooms and all that stuff. Oftentimes, people get into the collecting aspect of it, and they just start grabbing games. They go to the stores, they find cheap games, they grab them. They might have watched a video, another YouTuber or something, or when the Angry Video Game Nerd came on in the beginning stages, and people started to jump on the bandwagon of, hey, collecting this stuff is cool now. Let's just grab everything that I see. And you just take those video games and shove them on your shelf. That doesn't mean you're now an expert in video games. Heck, I could do the same thing. I kind of left this kind of comment on his channel saying, I can go down to the video game store right now, stock up on Nintendo GameCube games or Xbox 360 games or something like that, come home, shove them on my shelf and say, look, I'm an expert on Xbox 360. And in reality, I know very little about Xbox 360. So what it comes down to really is your experience and your passion towards why you have these games. And if you're going to be doing a YouTube channel, or if you just like to talk about it, go to the conventions, have, conversations with other people online, you don't necessarily have to have the biggest collection in the world. It doesn't matter how big your collection is. In fact, we're also in a world of emulation where, you don't even really need any of these physical carts anymore. I can play almost every single one of these games on my computer right now without having to take the cartridge. And that's just the reality of today. In fact, I've even thought about it. This goes into my brain when I'm in the store and I'm looking at these Nintendo cartridges or something, and I'm like, well, I could buy that for $9 or $30 or whatever, or I can go home and just play it on my computer. I mean, sure, you get the purists out there who say emulation is garbage and stuff like that, and, they have pros and cons to it and all that kind of stuff. But when it comes down to, like, the knowledge of the game, the enjoyment of the game, your experience with the game, that has nothing to do with the physical cartridge. In fact, a lot of memories we have are probably from stuff we don't have anymore. Stuff we had when we were kids, stuff we had when we were teenagers. Because, a lot of people do go through that purge in their life. They get to a certain age where all their old stuff is just kind of taking up space. Perhaps they're moving on to college, university, moving out, getting married. And a lot of people make that decision. They're like, you know what, I haven't touched these games in a long time. I'll pass them on to somebody else that'll give them some love. It doesn't mean that they hate gaming and they don't know anything about gaming anymore. It just means that they've cleared room. In fact, even popular YouTubers go through purges and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's perfectly normal to say, okay, let's downgrade my collection. Maybe I'm just going to stick with what I have downloaded on my Wii or something like that. It's kind of like what the Atari Creep even mentioned that you can love all this stuff without ever owning a single copy of the game. Now, and have knowledge and experience, I should say too. I mean, there's Nintendo games I played in the past that I think I don't have anymore, but that doesn't matter. Anyways, yeah. So the question stands. I mean, does having a large collection, the bigger collection, mean that you know your stuff, or that you're more worthy of watching than someone who has a smaller collection? I mean, my collection isn't that big. I mean, if you look at it, it's just like shelf like that. And that's it. I mean, I've seen other YouTubers who have walls of games, right? And you know, they're still gonna say, well, you know what? I've never seen that game before. So it doesn't really matter how how many games you have or how big your collection is. People are still gonna like say, you know, I've never seen that game, or and they might even have it. They just don't even realize they even have it because they probably never played it before. And that was part of my thing. Is the experience is what comes in. And when I also mentioned this on his video as well. When it comes to my channel, for instance, I like to throw my experience of the game, or share an experience of the game, or have some kind of something that I in the past that I can talk about. Sure, I talk about some games I've never heard of, and I give my experience on that. But in most cases, my stories are always based on my past, and I talk about when I had this game, or I knew a friend that had this game. So that's where it comes in, not showing off everything I have in the background and saying because I have all this, that means I'm very knowledgeable in it. And the same goes with anything else. I mean, I have toys too. I collect toys. I collect Transformers. I don't have the biggest Transformer collection. I have a very small Transformers collection. But I remember a lot of them, and I have a lot of fond memories of them. And so I can talk about them. I can go to a convention if I want to. I can have them on my channel. Just because I don't have a billion of them behind me in the background doesn't mean I don't know anything about them or I can't share any experience. So the question's coming to you then. What do you think? Do you think size matters? Do you think you have to have a large collection in order to qualify to be either a YouTuber or a retro game fan, or insert name, whatever you want to call it here? And we'd like to see what you say. I mean, I'm going to leave a link to the Atari Creeps video as well, so you can go check that out and see exactly what he said, because he made a lot of great points too. And we kind of saw eye to eye on the same thing. We collect what we like. I collect Atari games, yes, but when it comes to anything else, I think about it. I'm like, am I ever going to play this? If not, I put it back. I don't want to just buy it and say I'm going to put it on my shelf so it looks good. Anyways, let me know what you think. Throw some comments down below. Check out the Atari Creeps video. Throw some comments there if you can. And just let's talk about this. Let's throw it out there as a question. Anyways, hope you liked the video. Hope you subscribe. Talk to you later.